Welcome, people. It's your boy Travis once again bringing you a live update show. It's always enjoyable when we have live update shows, don't we? It's the best thing, actually. I enjoy doing these live shows because I can interact with the fans. I can speak to you guys. You can speak back to me. You can drop your comments and let me know what you think about the latest news. Oh my god, I always do this. I always do this. I always start like this. I always do this. Stop the music. Stop the music. Take everything off. Apologies for that. I'll start all over again. Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday morning and it's miserable outside, but we've got good news. We've got good news and some bad news, but I thought I'd bring a live update, and I'm going to try and do this as a regular show. Every 12 noon, every day, I'm going to bring you a live show. I could go early in the morning, but then I feel like half the people are asleep. Hello, Jim. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us straight away, Jim. It's always nice to see you online, and always love having fans join us and discuss the latest news, because this is not about me talking at you. I'm not one of those guys. There's plenty of channels that you can join who talk at you and tell you what they think you want to hear. But for me, it's all about interacting with you guys. It's about interacting, speaking with you, and getting your input on what the latest news is concerning Man United. And there's some news, of course, on Benjamin Sesko, and there's also news on a new midfielder, or a midfielder that we've been looking at to sign, and the potential of getting him. We're going to discuss, of course, what that is and when in a short while. However, let's just first do our introductions and everything. So welcome to the show. It's Tuesday, it's miserable outside, and it's the best time actually to sit down and talk to fans and discuss everything to do with Man United, because we know Man United and news on Man United never sleeps. There's always something to discuss, always something going on in the background. Despite there being an international break, there's lots of news concerning United, and it's all to do with, of course, the fallout from the weekend's game, if you can call it a fallout. Obviously the injury with Sesko, we've got an update on that. We did discuss this yesterday. We did give our viewers an insight to what we thought the injury was going to be and what we had heard from sources, and our sources turned out to be reliable. Now, that's not always the case, but on this instance, we've got to say thank you to the sources, because the information was spot on. This information was spot on with Benjamin Sesko. Even I didn't believe it. Even I was thinking, what are they talking about? Am I okay to put this out? Like, when I read what I was hearing, I was thinking, he's telling me Sesko's not injured pretty badly, yeah, and I'm looking at the footage of him leaving the game at the end, and he's walking off and he's hobbling off, and I'm thinking, this does not look good. I mean, he looks like he's seriously injured, and this guy's telling me maybe a week, 2 weeks, and I was like, no way. But it came out, and it's true. It's true that he's not seriously injured. It's great news for us all, because look, whether he's in form or not in form isn't the question. Would we rather have Sesko fit, or would you not? Unless you're a complete lunatic and not a United fan, you probably say, I don't want Sesko fit. But everybody should want everyone at United fit, 100% fit. So Sesko, whether he's going to play the next game or not, again, question marks. Whether his form is good or not, question marks. And I accept that. I accept that there's some fans out there who would say he's not good. Even I, whilst watching the game, was kicking off saying, he's not good enough. He can't finish. He can't do this. He can't do that. But that doesn't mean I don't want him fit. That doesn't mean I don't want him available for Ruben Amorim to look at and decide whether he can bring him on or not, or play him or not. That's lunacy. You don't want that for your team. You want everyone 100% fit and the squad to be at 100%. Anyway, so the news from Sesko, we've had it confirmed now from the likes of Fabrizio Romano and others who you could argue are the final rubber stamp, shall we say, in the news. But the news is that Sesko will be back before the international break is over. So that's really good news. So he'll be recovered in a couple of weeks and he'll be back for United, but he is not going to be joining his international team. He is going to be resting and recovering from whatever minor injury that he has sustained, and he will not be travelling away with Slovenia. He will be staying at Carrington and going through his recovery, and I think that's the best thing for him right now. He just needs to take some time out, relax, get away from all the pressure, and go again from where he's actually what he's playing like. He's not playing well. Let's be honest. I mean, as fans, we have to hold our hands up and say, look, yeah, he's not hit the ground running as we would have liked. Even the most ardent fan of Sesko would have to agree that he could have had a better start, right? He could have scored more goals. He could have had more goal scoring opportunities or made them and created more chances. He just hasn't done that. He's just gone missing in most of the games that he's played. Jim says, even if he was fit, I still wouldn't play him. I would give him a little bit longer. Yeah, I agree. I think, look, before the weekend's game against Spurs, if you look back at what I was saying, look, he needs more time. It's clear. It's obvious to anyone who's watched football for a decent length of time and seen new players integrate into teams. You can see he's not fitting in. He's not up to speed. He's struggling with just getting even his foot on the ball. He's just not mentally prepared to be playing in the Premier League at the pace that they're playing. So he needs to be given more time. And I think the more Ruben Amorim puts him in, and the more he kind of screws up, shall we say, the more pressure piles on him, and the more he's going to find it difficult to get out of that hole. Right now, he is slowly sinking, and we're just watching him. We're just watching him drown, and we can't allow that. We need to help him here, give him a life raft, and say, look, we're not going to throw you in the deep end. Just sit on the side, and when we're maybe comfortable in a game and we're leading maybe 1-2-0, we'll throw you on, and there's less pressure, there's less scrutiny on you, so you can kind of go out there and have a run out. That's what we need to do with him right now. And I think Ruben Amorim, to be fair, did try that. He did try that early on in the season, but we all, including myself, threw a complete hissy fit saying, why are we not playing Sesko? We bought him for 70 million, whatever, and he should be out there. He's our number one striker. I think we were all panicking because we were like, look, we haven't got a striker. But under this formation and system that Ruben Amorim's playing, we don't really need an out-and-out striker. We've got the likes of Mbeumo, Kuna and Ahmad. If they're playing up front, I think we've got plenty of goals in them three. We don't need to worry about playing Sesko. So I think he's got the perfect opportunity to let him be. And that's why when we saw the team sheet against Spurs and Sesko wasn't part of it, I wasn't surprised. In fact, that was my prediction. I'd said, look, Maguire's going to come in. I said Mazraoui's going to start, and I said Sesko's going to be dropped to the bench, and that's exactly what happened. I was kind of surprised because I'm normally not very good with these kind of predictions. I always get things wrong when it comes to predicting score lines and team lineups. I always get things wrong. But anyway, guys, if you've just joined us, make sure you hit the like, make sure you subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I always forget to say things like that, all these formalities and stuff. I just kind of get into the show. But Jim says, I think United fans should give him a break. It's not his fault. United didn't get another striker to at least share the load. Sesko needs time. Yep, 100% agree with you there, Jim. We can't expect this guy on his own to do all the work. It's unfair. It's unfair to have him just jump in there and do everything for us, because we've done this with a number of signings where we throw him in the deep end and we're like, all right, you come in and you take all the load. You should be our saviour. He's a kid. We're asking him to do a job for the biggest club in the world, come in and lead the line and carry all the pressure. That's just not on. It's not fair. And we shouldn't be piling that much pressure on someone like this kid who's coming from the Bundesliga. He needs time. I've said it time and time again. We just need to let him be. And I think you see it when players are under pressure, when they're trying to do things that they're not normally used to doing, they'll get injured. They'll pick up injuries. They'll do things when they're being strained, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch. they're more likely to pick up injuries. They're more likely to be stiff. They're more likely not to be fluid and relaxed when they're playing. Hence why they end up getting injuries. And I think this is no coincidence that Sesko got injured. I think he's feeling the pressure, and deep down, I think he'll appreciate the break. He'll appreciate the away from the limelight, and this international break coming is perfect for him. It's absolutely perfect, where he can get his head together, and no one really is talking about him and his chances missed and blah blah blah, because everyone's focused on other things but the Premier League. So that's a good thing. I mean, if we were going into another game next week, this would have been highlighted a lot more. There'd be a lot more talking about Sesko and his injury, and not just his injury but his misses, that the chances that he keeps on missing, and his current form, and I think that would be highlighted more. And I think sometimes United fans can just be overcritical. We can be overcritical, and that includes me. I'm not saying you guys just on your own. I'm saying, look, me as well. I'm a United fan, and I'm highly critical. I want things doing yesterday. Yeah, so when I look at Sesko, I'm like, oh, I need him to score. And unfortunately, when I'm watching the game, I am that fan. I am that fan who starts effing and blinding and starts having to go at the players. But when I kind of chill out and sit down and relax a little bit, I realise, actually, look, that's not possible. That's not reasonable. It's not good to be on the backs of these players and asking something they can't really do. Same thing with other players who are playing out of position. We can't ask them to do something that they're not used to. Like Ahmad, we can't ask him to defend. If he makes an error back in the defence, yeah, I get pissed off, and I'm like, what the hell? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you defend properly? But then at the same time, when I calm down, I realise, well, he's not really in that position. He's not a defensive player. So why are we expecting him to do something that he's not used to doing? And he's probably not willing to do either. And Jim says he'll be good enough if we give him some time. We've seen bits of what he can do. His height in the box can be a good weapon in games. Yeah, I mean, when he first arrived on the scene, so I saw him. I was going to say I met him, but I didn't really meet him because he didn't stop and talk to me. But I saw him in person, and I was shocked at how tall he was. So I looked at him. He jumped out of the van, and I was like, bloody hell, he's massive. He's huge. And I was loving it. I was thinking, this guy on the pitch is going to cause lots of problems for defences. But unfortunately, he's just not got that level of aggression that you'd want to see in a player that big. I think you need to maybe look over at Haaland and see what he's doing in terms of ruffling the feathers when it comes to centre-backs and just getting in their face, giving them a hard time. And that's exactly what Sesko should be doing. He should be giving the defenders a runaround, a difficult time to mark him and to hold him down. And I think that's what he just needs to do. He just needs to work on that. Right now, I think he's been too nice to the defenders. I think he hasn't got that, ego or that aura about him where he's carrying himself on the pitch, and he's got a personality on the pitch. He just hasn't. He goes missing, and that, of course, comes with experience. That comes with confidence. If he's scoring lots of goals and he's got that confidence about him, then he'll become a very good striker. I mean, his idol he says is Ibrahimovic, and I think he needs to take a leaf out of his book. If he looks up to Ibrahimovic, he needs to take a leaf out of his book and become like Ibrahimovic. Walk with arrogance, and I'm not saying in a negative way. Walk with arrogance but he just needs to hold himself like, I'm a young superstar of a striker. I'm playing for Man United. There was a number of clubs after me, and I've arrived at my dream club, and I'm here to stay. And I think he has to have that level of aura and confidence. I just don't feel he carries himself well enough like that around the pitch. And whether that's him just not believing in himself right now, or whether it's just simply he's overawed with the whole experience of playing at Old Trafford, playing for Man United, and all the players around him that he's probably seen on TV. And I don't know. I don't know what's going through his head at the moment, but it doesn't look like someone who's confident and someone who's ready to play for Man United. So I believe that's why Ruben Amorim didn't want to start him and didn't want to bring him in too early. And I believe that he was forced to do so by not just the fans, but also probably the board and people around United, the players themselves that were looking over thinking, wait on, you've just gone and spent all that money on a new striker. We need a striker and you're not playing him. Why not? And I think the question marks pile on as soon as United don't score a goal or two in a game. Immediately the press get onto you and say, why didn't you play Sesko? Why didn't you play Sesko? You clearly need goals. Why didn't you play Sesko? Why didn't you play your striker? Jim says we all get heated watching United. It's going to happen. Yeah, look, I accept it. I accept. Look, we all get upset at the minor things, because that's what we're all watching with with a telescope. Essentially, we're micro-analysing everything that's going on the pitch, and we've got the benefit of seeing, that there was a space there and that there was a through ball on there. Why didn't you play it? Or you could have taken another touch and you could have finished it this way. You could have done that. And defensively, why weren't you switched on? Why didn't you mark the player behind you? Things like that. So there's all these things that we can all sit here and discuss and point out. But on the pitch, it's completely different. We all know it. I mean, we all think that we could take on half the team and score a goal, and we all think we can do that bicycle kick when in reality we can't. Yeah, but when we're sat there watching it, we think we can. I do. I sit there and think, I could have got that in. I could have taken on two players, and why didn't he do that? Why didn't he step over the ball? Why didn't he dink it there? And then. But in reality, that's not how it operates. That's not how you work in a game of football. You might be tired. You might not have the legs to control the ball. You might, I've played football when halfway through the game or near the end of the game, you're shattered. You're completely gone. Your legs are like jelly. And a simple ball that you need to pass maybe 10 yards forward, yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. It's impossible. You can't do it. That's just tiredness and everything else combined together. So we've got to accept that, look, these guys, they are being scrutinised, and the Man United players, and of course they expect to be scrutinised. But I'm hoping that this is a good break for him and he gets some time away from playing in the limelight. So that's the news on Sesko. So hopefully it's good news. I'm hoping everyone who's watching is happy with the news that it's Sesko's not injured for long term. He's back, and that's good news. But anyway, guys, thank you for hitting the like. If you haven't already, hit the like. If you haven't subscribed already, thank you for subscribing. If you have, appreciate all the support that I'm getting on the channel. It's amazing. I mean, seriously, I'm overawed by the messages I get, the subscribers, just everyone supporting the channel. And it just encourages us to do more content like this and jump online and do live watch-alongs and things like this. So and we love interaction from Man United fans. It's really enjoyable to actually hear from Man United fans, because that's more important to us than anything else right now. We want to hear from everybody and what their thoughts are. There's no point in you just listening to what we have to say. We have our opinions, but we also know that football is a game of opinions, and Man United, we've got a different array of fans from all over the world. So one opinion is not the same for everybody else. You might agree, you might like. I like the fact that some people jump on and say, look, Sesko's not good enough, I don't want him at the club, I want someone else, and that's fine. I like that. I like a different perspective. I'm not, whether I'm in agreement with it or not is another thing, but I still like to hear different perspectives from different fans about what they think about certain people. Niche, right on point. I was just saying about fans not liking Sesko, I had Niche in my head. I was thinking Niche is the guy who says Sesko isn't good, but I like that because it gives me and others perspective. Sometimes what I see is that you can get carried away, because sometimes I meet fans. I speak to fans on, Man United fans who say Dallow's bloody brilliant. And I'm like, what the F is he doing? What match is he watching? does he even know who Dalot is on the pitch? Because when I'm watching Dalot, he's awful. But this guy thinks he's brilliant. And I swear I've met fans who will argue with me non-stop about how good Dalot is and what he does for United and stuff. Yeah? And I switch off halfway through because I'm thinking, no way can this guy be living in reality. But then I think I look at that and I think, that's because maybe they've got a bias towards Dalot. They've maybe chosen him as their favourite player from day one, and then they feel the need to back someone like that all the way through. And I guess that could also happen to me or any other fan out there. When, look, if you start favouring a certain player just because you like certain things about them, you like say for instance, I like right now one of my favourite players is Mbeumo. I love the way he carries himself on the pitch, off the pitch. So what if he goes through a bad run of form, or he doesn't start, he's not good enough anymore? Would I stick with him? I think I would. I would still argue his corner for as long as I could. And I think that's what happens with other fans. They start arguing the corner. And I think with Sesko, look, again, I've got a soft spot for Sesko because we obviously signed him and we fought over Newcastle and with Newcastle and got him, so that was really good. And Sesko's been one of those players that everyone's talked about. Lots of clubs wanted him, so you want him to come good, and you don't want there to be another failure at United, another young star coming to United and failing, because that's not a good precedent, because that might put off a lot of other young players to come to United. So there's lots of elements where I really look at Sesko and I think I need this to work, not just for Sesko's sake, but for United's sake, for the fan base sake, for everybody. We need this to work, and of course we need it to work because we are fighting for our lives when it comes to the Premier League. We need to ensure that we get into those Champions League spots. And Nish says, Sesko is so bad. We've wasted millions on him. We need a Mateta. Jamie Vardy would have been better. Whoa, now that is an insult. I mean, Jamie Vardy, Nish, you're taking the mick there, surely. Yeah, but I agree with Mateta. Look, I said before we even signed Sesko in the summer transfer window, if you'd go back and look at the transfer update videos that I was doing during the summer transfer window, immediately when the summer window kicked off, I was like, right, okay, if I had a wish list, this would be my wish list. Number one, new goalkeeper. Onana is shit. We need him out. Altay Bendit is not a good reserve goalkeeper. Both of them need to be out. We need Senny Lemons. Oh, it wasn't Senny Lemons. It was just we need a better goalkeeper. I didn't know who, but I said we need a new goalkeeper. I think there was a few names knocking about, but I was like, I don't care, because anything is an improvement on Andre Onana. Then I was like, right, okay, we need a midfielder. It's obvious we need a midfielder. And then we need strikers. We need strikers. And for me, I was like, we need at least 2 strikers to carry this team forward and to make us better ourselves from 15th all the way up to the Champions League spots. We need goals in this team. We did get Mbeumo. We got Kuna. I was over the moon, but I still knew we needed an out-and-out striker, still 1 or 2 out-and-out strikers. And Mbeumo and Kuna were not going to play that striking role. We know they're not used to playing that role, and I think they'd struggle even now playing that role. So look, I accept Mateta was one of the players on my list. He was hands down. I was like, Mateta, he's just a difficult striker to keep hold of. He causes everyone difficulty. We saw last season. He's one of those strikers who just gets in your face. He's really burly. He just kind of pushes everyone out of the way, and he gets the goals. You look at him and think, no way is he going to be able to do what he does. But somehow he gets there and he scores the goals. And I think he would have been the ideal striker next to even maybe a young Sesko. But I think we missed one there. Nish says we are absolutely screwed. And Mbeumo, Euro and Ahmad will go to Ofcom. We have literally no answer. Yeah, we haven't. I mean, do you know the crazy thing is, Nish? I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off like it's a job that I do not want to do, and I hate thinking about it. You know, the moment you start thinking about it, it just kind of stresses you out and makes you all tense. That's exactly what it's like when I'm refusing to do any kind of video on it right now, because I don't want to even think about the Ofcon and the fact that we're going to lose our very best 3 players and what Amorim's going to do in replacement of that, because we haven't got anybody. We haven't got anybody. I mean, if there's any solutions, if anyone's watching the show and they've got some solutions and how they would line up the team once Ahmad's gone, Mbeumo's gone, Mazraoui's gone, please drop your comments and let me know. Nish, you let me know. Jim, you let me know. How would you line up the team once these guys have gone? Just out of interest, because I've been racking my brains trying to work out how Amorim's going to do it. How is he going to do it? I think it's the 21st of December. From the 21st of December all the way to, I think it's the latter stages of January. Late January. If they go all the way to the final, we could have them out. I mean, obviously not all 3 will be gone for that long because they all play for different teams, but there's possibility of having 2 all the way to the end of January not at United. So Ahmad could be out. Mbeumo could be still out till end of January, or it could be Mazraoui. All 3 of them have got a good chance. I mean, they play for respectfully. They play for decent teams. I think Mazraoui playing for Morocco. Morocco are a very strong team. They're going to do well. I think Cameroon, again, they're a very strong team. I think they'll do well unless Onana is playing in goals for them, and then they might get knocked out in the group stages. So who knows? But anyway, let me get to the chats here. So it says Nish says Mbeumo and Lemons have been our best signings, by far. I mean, it's clear, aren't they? They're clear of everybody else. Jim says, come on, Nish, there's no way Jamie Vardy would survive at United. I mean, look, there was a point where I would have taken Vardy at his peak. At his peak, when Leicester went on to win the league, in that season, I was looking at Vardy thinking, well, this guy could actually do a job for United. He had pace, he could finish, and I thought, perfect. But he fell off pretty quickly straight after, didn't he? He fell off really quickly. Nish says, I believe he would have scored us more goals than Sesko and could have got him for peanuts. I take it he's talking about Vardy here. Yeah, but Vardy's surely past it now. Surely he is past it now. To be honest with you, I've not even watched Vardy. I don't know. I've not even seen him play for a long time. So again, for me, I think Mateta's clear. I think Mateta would have been good. I think they could have gone in there for Watkins as well. Maybe pushed on that deal. Maybe go out and get someone like that. That would have been ideal. Or even maybe just a secondary striker from somewhere else. Someone who's maybe not on the radar, but someone what we could get. But anyway, talking about transfers, let's move on. Let's move on to the other segment of the show, and that is transfers. And the big news that we heard last night was on Elliot Anderson. Now, we were discussing this in our live show yesterday, weren't we? If you all remember, we were discussing how Elliot Anderson is on maybe joint top of the list for midfielders in the January window, but we were also discussing, and I said it, didn't I say? I called it out, didn't I? I mean, I'm getting all these things right. I need to go and buy a lottery ticket. Because I'm getting all these things right. This prediction, I said to you yesterday, I said, I can't see Forest letting go of Anderson for anything less than 100 mil. I thought, look, they're going to play silly buggers. They're going to know that they can pull our pants down because United are desperate for a midfielder. And Anderson, knowing what we know about the Nottingham Forest owner right now, even though he's been charged for some, or he's up in court for something in Greece, some gangster related stuff, I don't know what, but I caught a glimpse of it on social media the other day, and I kind of laughed. I was like, right, okay, but he's still around though. He's still around, and if he's still around, he's not going to let Anderson leave Forest for anything less than 100 mil. I said that yesterday, and it transpires that we got the news from Florin, and he said Manchester United remain keen on Elliot Anderson and have registered concrete interest. Forest are informed a fee in the region of 100 to 120 million is still being demanded. That's a crazy amount of money from what his valuation would have been at the start of this season. I think his value would have been in the region of about 50 to about 70 realistically. But this is crazy. Doubled in valuation. And I think that's just simply because it's Man United knocking on the door. I think if it's anybody else, I think no way would they have been quoted that price. It's just United. And United always get their pants pulled down, don't they? We always get done over. Anyway, let me just go back to the comments because there's quite a few. Jim says Martinez for Mazraoui, Mount for Mbumo, Ahmad you mean Menu for Ahmad. Okay, so Martinez for Mazraoui, yeah, that could work. So yeah, they could shift and they could play him left centre back and move Yoro to the other side. I think that would work. And then Mount for Mbumo, yeah, that's gonna be a hard. That's gonna be a hard ask, isn't it? I mean, to fill Mbumo's shoes, but could he do it? I think he could play on the right. I can't remember Mount playing on the right wing. Let me know if he does on a regular basis. And then Menu for Ahmad again. I think that's an impossible task. I think for Menu to play right wing back, no way, man, no way. I think that's going to be crazy for Manu, unless they ask Manu just to sit back. I think he might have to change his formation. I think this is going to be one time where we might see a change in formation from Ruben Amorim because of the loss of Ahmad and Mbumo. I think he's going to be forced into making a change. Let's see. What else? And please God, let us sign Anderson and Wharton. Then we're in business. Yeah, that I said yesterday, Nish. I thought that was my dream signing. Them two coming in. I've gone off Blaber. I'm going to be honest with you. I've gone off Blaber. I know some fans are still like Blaber. You know, are you a believer? Blah blah blah. But me, I'm looking at from current form. I think if United brought in Wharton and Anderson, I think we'd quite easily qualify for the Champions League. And I think, call me mad, but if we bring them in January and we're still roundabouts the top four and Arsenal haven't ran away with it. Okay, so I'm going to say this. You can clip it if you want to. I might clip it myself. But if we're in the top four or nearabouts and Arsenal haven't ran away with it and we go and sign Wharton and Elliot Anderson, let's say that happens, yeah, in our best case scenario, I think we could even challenge for the Premier League. That's how much of a difference I think they'll make for the team. If we're in and around in January, we would have the best two future midfielders, the current best midfielders and future, we'd be future proof. They would be, I mean, if I could, I would sit there all day and night and try and get these two deals over the line in the January window. And I would quite literally, I mean, look, the 100 to 120 mil seems ridiculous, and it is ridiculous. But you've got to ask the question, would this, would we get paid back if we spent 100 million on Anderson and 100 on, say, Wharton, although I think Wharton's a lot cheaper. He was a lot cheaper. Again, when United turn up, it might be a different story. But if we went and got these two, I think it would pay off. It would pay off no matter what we paid. If it's 100 mil each and we pay 200 mil to get these two qualifying for the Champions League, I think would pay off all that outlay out quite easy. And imagine if you went and won the Premier League as well, or you finished quite high up, and then I think they'd pay off. They would pay off. That's the gamble that you're making. That is the gamble you're making. You're going in there, signing these players in the hope that you'll get into the Champions League spot. I think the worst thing you can do is look at them and not sign them and just kind of say, look, I'm not willing to spend that much money, and then we fall flat and we don't qualify for the Champions League and we're not doing well. And then what happens is that it's a knock-on effect. Not only does it affect your revenue or what you're making, next summer transfer window, you're going to have less players wanting to join you because they'll know that you haven't got Champions League football to offer them. It's a huge pull. Nish says, I don't care, just want them at the club. That's it. Jim says Anderson is not worth 100, 120, 70 mil tops. Yeah, I mean, that is realistically, that would be his price. That would be his price. But we all know what's going to happen, don't we? We all know the moment we turn up, the prices will go through the roof. Anderson and Wharton would work perfectly. That's niche. I agree. Formation will change during Ofcom. There's no one else. Jim says. Niche says it has to. Otherwise, we will completely get steamrolled. My perfect England midfield is Wharton, Anderson, Rice. Yeah. Look, let's look back to Declan Rice. That's a perfect example that Niche's given there. And it's a very good one because Declan Rice, when he came on the market and Arsenal went in for him, and there was some talk about United maybe trying to sign him, right? There was. I remember there was talk about United looking at him. There was talk about maybe United going in there trying to match Arsenal in an offer. And we were all like, no, that's too much money for Rice, Declan Rice. That's way too much money, way too much money. But now, in hindsight, would you have paid that money and brought Declan Rice to United? I know what my answer is. And I know, if you're being honest, I know what your answer should be as well. We all know. So let me know what your answer is, guys. Let me know. Because I look at it and think, yeah, in hindsight, when you look at these players and what he's done for Arsenal, you realise that would have been an absolute phenomenal signing for United right now, right? Okay, we look at it and we think, right, we're missing that. We're missing that. And imagine where United would have been. We would have maybe... Think about all the things we've lost since that time. Think about all the competitions that we've been into, all the matches that we could have and should have won, and we were just slithered away from, you know, a good result from a bad result. Think about the Europa League final. Think about what would have happened if we had made that. I know, look, we're talking about ifs and whats and, you know, would have happened, but this is it. This is the world of football. This is why when we're discussing now, sitting here, discussing Elliot Anderson and discussing Wharton, we've got to understand that these are pivotal. These decisions are pivotal for our future as a club, because the wrong decision can lead you down a completely wrong path, and the right decision can open up so many other avenues and doors for us and give us so much revenue. And Niche says Rashford, Kane, Palmer up top. Look, Kane would have been... look, when Kane became available and there was rumours about him, I believe that even Ten Hag was like adamant he wants Kane, and he said, look, I want Harry Kane to be signed, but United just simply didn't want to pay for him. That's the end of it all. They just simply didn't want to pay the money that Tottenham were asking, and Harry Kane did want to join Man United. Now, that is, make what you want of that. I mean, he went off to Bayern Munich, but he wanted to stay in England. He wanted to play for Man United. He actually was hoping that they'd come in with an offer, and he would have absolutely selected to join United. He didn't do that. He didn't do that because United never came to the table. We never came to the table. Ridiculous to think now, isn't it? Ridiculous. And again, that's another sliding doors moment, isn't it? Like, imagine if we had signed Harry Kane, where would United be? Imagine what United would look like right now. Big decisions that you either make and you get right or you get wrong. These are the little points that actually make a big difference. Zaka, welcome to the channel. Thank you for dropping your comment. Hunting for a fox in the box meme coin that bulges the net like Haaland meat. Okay, that's I don't know what he's going on about there, but a lot of different talks about blazing. I don't know. He's clearly gone off on Bitcoin or something, right? Okay, so anyway, coming back to what we were discussing with Anderson. Do you think it's a fair price? No, I don't. I think we're going to get our pants pulled down. However, would I still break the bank and get this guy in? If that's the price for bringing him in January transfer window, about 100 mil, call me mad, but I would pay it. I would pay it. I'd be happy to pay that. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts, because that's what I believe. I don't know what you guys would think. I think you guys, would you say yes, no to that? Again, for me, I think that's a perfect signing for our transfer window in January. If we could bring one, if I would even go as far as saying I'd be happy to accept one in the January transfer window and one in the summer transfer window if that's what it takes. So if we can get Elliott on in Anderson in January and sign Wharton in the summer, I'd take that. I'd hands down take that right now. And if we can get both in January, of course, that would be the ideal scenario. But if we can't, I'd take one in January and one in the summer. But we do need to focus on our key number one targets. I'm not keen. Now in yesterday's show, we reported on João Gomez. Yeah, we reported on João Gomez potentially being on that short list of players that United are looking to sign. But I don't like the thought of just, jumping from one to the other and kind of going with our fifth choice player, because that is a stopgap for me, and I don't want that. And neither does Ruben Amorim. He made it clear. He said, I don't want a short-term solution to this problem. I want a long-term solution to this problem. I want to go out there and sign a player that's going to be the future of Man United, not someone who's going to sit here for about a year or so. We're going to pay them through the nose and then they're going to chip. They're going to leave. Why? Why would we want that? Why would we want to pay someone like that when we can invest in the future of Man United? And I get exactly where he's coming from, and I agree with that. I don't want to bring in half a solution. I want to bring in the best solution to our problem. I want United to go out there and get the very best central midfield player that they can go and get from the Premier League or wherever it is. We know they're available. Well, we know who's good. We know we need to go in there and get them. And without doing that, we'll always be thinking, what if, like Nisha just said about Kane, what if we had signed Kane? It would, these kind of things end up coming back to haunt you. Nish said we paid 80 for flop score. Why pay a bit 100 plus in proven world class quality midfielder? Wharton will go to right mid if we don't buy him. Oh, Real Madrid. Yeah, there's talk of that. He's been linked to Real Madrid. Talking about Real Madrid. Actually, I'm going to move on to our next segment of the show. Now, talking about Real Madrid, I'm going to link it up very nicely here. Nish, you've just led us into our another story of today, which is Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo, guys. What do you make of this? Kobbie Mainoo has made his intentions clear. He wants to join Real Madrid. They are assessing his profile as a potential successor to veterans of Modric and Kroos. Man United value him around 90 million euros. Will United regret letting Mainoo go? What do you think about that? Now, this hasn't come out of the blue, by the way. This isn't something that's just suddenly hit the news about Mainoo being linked to Man United. Real Madrid have been looking for midfielders for quite some time. There's talk of Wharton, like we just said. Wharton, Real Madrid have looked at him. They've looked at Kobbie Mainoo. They've been looking at other people. But my question mark when it comes to Kobbie Mainoo is, actually, do they even need him? Do they even need him at Real Madrid? They've got quite a few players of the same makeup as Kobbie Mainoo. So I don't know whether I would 100% I believe that Real Madrid have inquired. I don't disagree with that aspect of it. I do believe that Real Madrid have inquired, but they do that with every player or lots of players, just the same as United have done. Like we discussed with João Gomez, I think United have made their initial inquiries as to whether João Gomez would be prepared to join United, what his valuation would be, blah blah blah. So they do the initial soft approach for these players, and I don't doubt Real Madrid have done the same with Kobbie Mainoo. I think they've done a soft approach where they've said through intermediaries, through representatives, they make the approach and they say, if there was a scenario where Real Madrid arrived to the table, what would you accept as a reasonable offer for Kobbie Mainoo? So I think that's how they pose it. They don't say Real Madrid are interested, but if that happens, and I believe that's happened, I do believe that's happened, just like Real Madrid have done with Wharton, but I don't believe that he really fits into their system currently. I think they've got plenty of young talent of the same ilk. I mean, they've got Camavinga, they've got Tuameni, they've got Ada Goulet. They've got lots of players who they can look at and say these are the feature players. I'm not quite sure how many would fit in, but I don't know. So Nish says Anderson will go to Arsenal if we don't sign him. Yeah, he will. Arsenal, there'll be other clubs looking at Anderson for sure. Neville Glitter, welcome to the channel, my friend. Hope you're doing well. You have to be realistic. Conor Gallagher is Prem proven. Just scored at Athletic. He'd do a good job for 6 months. We aren't going to get the best in January. We know how bad the club is at transfers. Very good point there, Neville. Very good point. And there was talk about him coming in the summer transfer window. In fact, United actually tried to bring him in. It was only Madrid Atletico who said, no, we don't want to send him out on loan. If you want him, you have to come and buy him. So that's where I think that scuppers the plans for bringing him in loan. Otherwise, I think I would have taken him. I would have taken him on loan. But I just feel like if we go back in January, I think we might get the same response from Atletico saying, we told you in the summer transfer window, we're only willing to sell him. So if you want to buy him, you can buy him. Otherwise, we're not going to loan him out to you. And that did scupper our plans, because I think that would have been, even though Ruben Amorim said he doesn't want a half-measured solution to the problem, but I think, yeah, it would have been actually ideal for someone like that just to come in and act as a stopgap for us until we go and sign an actual full replacement. Anderson will, okay, so Nish says no way is he going to Real Madrid. He doesn't fit in their system. So I agree with you, Nish. I agree with you. Menu, I don't feel like, I think he would love to go. I think Menu, if he got the choice, I think he'd love to go, but I can't see him going. I don't think Madrid will sign him. I'm just putting it out there. I might be wrong. I think Madrid might come in, but I think they're looking for a more of a creative player, someone who can fit into. I think you want Modric and Kroos both were not very. Yeah, I think they. He could fit in there, but then I don't think he's the right man for him. I don't think they. I think he's probably in the shortlist, but way down the shortlist. Neville says right, but that doesn't change the fact that Forest won't let him go in January, mate. Plus, you're calling Sesko a flop. You have zero ball knowledge. He's adapting still and outperforming Isaac. Yeah, look. I think Forest, the fact that Forest won't let him go in January, yeah, I agree. I said it in yesterday's show, and I've said it a number of times. I can't see any of these clubs letting go of our 3 number 1 targets in January. I really can't. I wish I could sit here and say, oh, definitely, we're going to get Wharton, or we're going to definitely get Anderson, or even Baleba. But I can't see it happening. I did say that I think if I was a betting man, I would say we've got more of a chance of getting Baleba just simply because of his current form and the way he's out of sorts. And Brighton might just want to cut ties in January. They might just sit down and discuss it and say, let's just let him go, because it looks like he's not going to play for and his value might drop. Whereas Wharton and Anderson are having their best seasons at the clubs. So why would these clubs think about selling them? That's the only problem I have. So yeah, being realistic, we have to think about that. And he says Isaac is proven and made a fantastic start at Newcastle. Look, he played well at Newcastle, but I think that's because I feel that the whole team was focused around getting the ball to Isaac in the right places, and so he had it on a plate. The whole team was playing to get the best out of Isaac. I don't think Liverpool will suit him because there's too many big players at Liverpool who want the team to be focused around them. There's Mo Salah, and he's clearly going to be like, look, you should be playing in to favour me because I'm your goal scorer. Of course, then you've got others now struggling as well to fit in because of the whole system that they're playing. Who is their focal point? Who is their main man that they play around? Nish says, I don't want Gallagher. Nish says, it's Wharton and Anderson, no excuses. Yeah, look, as a long-term signing, we've got to focus on our number one targets or nothing. We can't have a situation where we look for what I don't want is we bring in a loan player of some kind and then we end up not signing Wharton or Anderson, and we've seen that happen before. That's my worry. We've seen where United think, oh, we can get away with not spending money. We can get away with not spending this money and buying all these players for 100 mil. Let's just go and do a cheap job. We all know what happens when you don't spend the right amount of money. We end up with flops. We end up with cock-ups. And in the long run, these same players are the ones that turn around and sit there and see out their contract without giving us anything on the pitch. What else is there? What is it? Neville said, thank you, mate, for vindicating me against this idiot Niche, calling our new striker flop after about 8 starts. Look, he's got his opinion. I respect Niche in the terms of his opinion on flop, on Sesko being a flop. I don't agree with that. Because I think he's still adapting. But what I can see, having watched him carefully, I'm watching him like in every game. I kind of do like a player camera almost. Yeah, I'm watching the players carefully, and every time Sesko's playing, I'm watching him off the ball, seeing what he's doing. Could he improve? Yes, absolutely. Is he nervous? Yes, he's nervous playing out there. But is that expected? Yeah, it is expected. It's expected. The Sesko one is I think he will be good. He will be good for us. He just needs time. I think Jim mentioned it as well. He just needs time to settle down and just relax. He's just not relaxed as a striker. You can see it. He's just not relaxed enough to be saying, look, like, yeah, I'm going to go and score 2 goals today. I'm going to go and do what I need to be doing. His confidence level is low. He just needs to improve on that. You can see that after the goal that he did score, I can't remember who he scored against. Was it Fulham? I can't remember, but I think it was Fulham. He scored the goal. He's still adapting. He's still adapting. He hasn't had enough time. I'm not going to judge him until the end of the season. That's my way of looking at things. I'm not going to judge. And even then, you've got to look at him and think, right, is he developing in the right direction? Is he someone who's not? But for me, from what I'm looking at right now, I think he's done a lot better than Wirtz. He's done a lot better than Isak at Liverpool. And these guys, Isak is a proven, like Nish said, I think someone Nish said that Isak is a proven goal scorer at Newcastle and in the Premier League. Yeah, but look how he struggled at Liverpool, and that should be a clear argument for us, because we should be looking at Isak and saying, look how he struggled at Liverpool when he's just literally driving down the M1 or something, or M62, whatever it is, down to Liverpool. But we've got a kid who's moved over from the Bundesliga, completely different league, and he's scored more goals than Isak. So, I mean, if you're going to compare Isak to Sesko, I think you'd argue that Sesko's had a better start to the season. So, yeah, look, you can't judge someone halfway or quarter of a way through the season. I think we have to leave that till the end, and then we can have that discussion with each other. And then, Nish, you might be right, or Neville, you might be right, or I might be right in saying that, look, he came good, or he actually didn't come good, and yeah, it might have been the wrong signing at the wrong time. But we don't know. We don't know what that is. Nish says, the reason I call him a flop is based on what we paid him. It's relative. If we paid 20, I would call him a flop. 80 million is a complete flop. Yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of judging a player by their price tag, and I'll tell you why. Because Sesko didn't decide the price tag. He didn't sit there and say, "Oh, I want you to pay 70 million for me." I think Sesko could have, if you ask a player, he might turn around and say, "Look, pay like £10 or pay nothing towards me. Just take me and pay me all the salary. That's, I think that, being honest, that's what I think players would think. Dave, welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've recovered from the weekend's antics. I've just seen a crazy stat. If the 11 games played were to end in the first half, United is first in the league, but it was dependent on second half only. We'd be number 18th in the league. Wow, that's really interesting. That's an interesting. I didn't know that we were up there in terms of getting. Well, I think we're one of the highest in losing the game from a winning position. So obviously we're taking the lead in most of these games, and then we're conceding goals at the wrong bloody time. In fact, I don't know who it is, but I got a message from a rival fan, taking the mix, saying, look, United flopped it on the weekend, they bottled jobs, and they lost the game against Spurs when they were leading it for such a long time. And yeah, look, that is a worrying thing for me. I look at it and think, yeah, United should really learn how to close up shop. When we're in the lead, we need to make it almost impossible for the other team to get a goal back. And I was, saying how Jose Mourinho, we need to channel a bit of Jose Mourinho when we take a lead. We need to go in there and shut up shop and not let the teams back in again. We get that 1-goal lead and that's it. It's end of. We need to completely park the bus if we need to, but do not let them score. But that's really interesting. Neville says he brings us so much to the team. We aren't using his height enough. He's outperforming Isak by miles. Calling your new signings, who's a kid, a flop after a few months is crazy business. He isn't a striker that scores every game. Plus, it's unrealistic to expect him to score that prolifically, never crossing and using his height. Great points made by the big man here. Dave says, our drop-off in the second half is crazy. Amorim and the players have to work on this for sure. Even with 1 game a week, the season is still long. Nish says, never, he's a flop, mate. You'll come to realisation by the end of the season. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm hoping that you're wrong, Nish. I really am. I'm hoping that what I've seen is something that he can improve on and become. He's got a lethal shot. The kid has got a lethal shot on him, and I agree with Neville. Our setup right now in this system doesn't really play in his style of play. It doesn't really favour Sesko, because we don't really cross the ball in. We very rarely cross the ball in. In fact, that was probably one of my biggest criticisms of our wing backs, because they can't cross the ball in to save their lives. They can't cross it in, man. And we need to be putting more balls in the area, like we saw Man City do against Liverpool. They work in line with Haaland, don't they? They're putting a lot of balls in there to get Haaland to score. But Dave, coming off on your point, that is crazy, isn't it? That is crazy. I'm gonna have to go and research that afterwards, because that's crazy. So you're saying that if we finished the game in first halves, we would be first, and if we if we played just the second half, we'll be 18th. Just tells you that this game is exactly of 2 halves, but our second half we're dropping off. Now there's been some talk about how this United team kind of lose energy near the second half, or in the second half for some reason. What could that be down to? Could it be just the Casemiro effect? Could it be where Casemiro gets tired? Or could it be that our entire team starts struggling after the first half and midway during the second half? Because there have been some talk, there's been some talk about these players not being fit. But I'm thinking, wait on, you're playing 1 game a week. If you're not fit for this, what the hell are you doing playing professional football? Like, what the hell's going on behind closed doors? Is Ruben Amorim making you run around like flipping headless chickens for hours on end in training? Like, no way. Surely you should be up for 1 game a week. This is worrying. I don't know. Or whether Ruben Amorim's asking the players to do so much pressing in the first half that they're shattered by midway in the second half. I'm not quite sure, but it's really interesting, because that's a really crazy stat, Dave, that you brought to our attention. That is insane, man. That is insane. Coming back down, let's see what else is being said. It's because of Casemiro. It's blatant. Do you think, Nish? I think, look, there is an argument to had here because Casemiro, as soon as he comes off, the team drops. So even the argument that we could say that, look, no, we get tired. We are making those changes in the second half, bringing on fresh legs against Spurs. We brought on essentially about 3-4 different players, one in Lenny Euro because of the injury to Harry Maguire, but we put in fresh legs across the pitch. So we shouldn't have dropped our level of play to that degree. So it genuinely could be that we're missing that player like Casemiro, and the player that we all thought was a bit part player in Casemiro has now become a pivotal part of this Ruben Amorim system and team. Crazy to think of that. I mean, at the start of the season, if you asked me, I would have said that Casemiro's probably not going to be featuring in much games. Dave says, when Amorim said we can't compete in Europe at the moment, I now fully agree, even though it was crazy for him to say at the time. If we were in Europe, we would be getting smoked easy. Yeah, we'd be getting absolutely battered. We'd be getting battered right now in Europe. It's a scary thought, isn't it? That if we were playing midweek, what would have been happening to us? I mean, if we were playing Copenhagen, we actually played Copenhagen not long ago. I think it was last season or the season before. And we made that look like a very difficult game. It wasn't that easy for us. I mean, there's lots of things that need sorting out. And I think secretly, Ruben Amorim's thanking the Lord. He's probably thinking, brilliant, you know, I've got this team that they've got no midweek games, and I can work on them and get them to play better football and train a bit harder so we can go and actually get the results on the weekend. But I'm not looking forward to having to play midweek games with this team and having to play 2 games a week, because we're already struggling playing 1 game a week. Dave says, Nish says, also, Mbeumo does get gassed in the second half. Yeah, he does. He does. I mean, all of them do. All of them get completely gassed. Even Kuna, you see he struggles. He's not doing as much runs in the second half. What else was it? Jim, you joined it. Jim says, please keep things civil in the chat. No name calling, please. Thank you. Yeah, guys. I think I like everyone's opinions. I like everyone's opinions. I think you both got you've got a reason to argue your corner, and I agree with both at some extent. But I also feel like we need to keep things civil. We're all United fans, guys. We're all wanting the same thing, which is we want success in this team. And I get a bit passionate, I must admit. I mean, Jim can testify when I'm watching when he's watching along with me in games and stuff. You know, he probably thinks I'm a different person sat here. You know, Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? It's Jekyll and Hyde, because I'm completely different when I'm watching the game. I do get very upset and pissed off, shall we say, is probably the better word, isn't it, Jim? I get really agitated and angry with things that, even though, I mean, I seem fairly reasonable, don't I, when I'm sat here discussing things and you know, everything's all nice and cozy, and I'm a very pragmatic fan, and I come across like that. But trust me, guys, you don't want to be watch along with me, because I get really pissed off really quickly, and it could be a simple pass that's gone astray from Bruno Fernandes, and I feel like jumping on the pitch and running after him or something. You know what I mean? If you know, when I'm at Old Trafford watching these games, I'm not a good fan to sit next to. I must admit, I'm grumpy. I'm a grumpy fan. I start effing and blinding and shouting at all the players for not doing their job. I start managing them. I'm like, you move here, you move there, and blah blah blah. But it's just fun, isn't it? It's enjoyable to watch. What else? Dave says, Amorim and the players still have lots to work on. We should be looking at the game by game. Yeah, absolutely, man. I heard someone else some of the fan put out the fixtures for the next 10 games and was like, oh, look, United should quite easily win the next 10 games. And I was like, whoa, hold on. I mean, let's take one game at a time. We're going to struggle. We're going to struggle if we start looking ahead to 10 games and saying, oh, we should be winning all of these games. it's no guarantee that we can do that at all. So one game at a time, one step at a time. If we can just carry on doing what we're doing right now and just improve on the little things, just improve on these little things, like where Dave has mentioned about the whole drop off that we have in the second half. Why is that happening? If we can just maybe improve on that and solve that issue, we might be on to a winner. We might be onto a winner. I'm happy with the performances so far that we've seen in the last 5 games. Yeah, obviously let's discard the battering we got away from home against City. But then again, Liverpool got battered, so I don't feel too bad now. I realise that Man City are a team that's improved this season. I was under the impression that they were still the same shite that we were playing last season, but they've clearly improved. They've got things sorted out on their side of things. But we have improved, and there are positives to take out of it. I think there are things that we need to improve in terms of our defending. We still need to kind of get a bit tighter, but I guess that is the Casemiro effect right now. But I keep thinking back to it, and I keep thinking, whoa, imagine if we did bring in an Anderson or a Wharton instead of Casemiro. Imagine what that would do to our defence. Imagine what that would do to our team. Crazy, crazy stuff, man. I'm loving it, though. I'm loving it as well. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying this whole discussion. I'm enjoying what's going on in terms of United and what they're looking forward to as well. Because, look, this is it. This is what we've all been wishing for quite some time. We've been waiting for this to happen for quite some time. We've been hoping that we get to talk about these little tweaks that we can make to improve United and to get over. I just feel like, and when I look at the table, it fills me with confidence. I look at the table and think, whoa, we're like literally 1 or 2 points away from being second. And that's the thin line between where we could have been and where we're at right now. So it fills me with huge amounts of confidence that we can actually get kicking on again. Dave says this past game against Spurs, we should have smoked them because they were so horrendous. We should have be finishing our dinner because the season's consistency gets up top 4 since the league is dead. Yeah, I think we might regret not doing a job on them. I think we should absolutely sent them to the cleaners. You know, the opportunity was there, and I was watching along, and I kept saying it. This is our chance. We need to close this game off. We are in control. We need to make sure that we take full advantage of being in control of this game. But we didn't, and it came back to haunt us. It came back to haunt us because for the good 75, 80 minutes, we were the team on top. Spurs did not even look like they were going to do anything. Like Dave says, they were playing fossil football, man. They were just rubbish. I mean, they were putting me to sleep every time they were getting the bloody ball. They were like passing it to the back, and Van der Ven passing it to Romero, and then just passing it, and then getting to the middle of the pitch, and by that time you're half asleep as to what they're going to do with the ball, and it was just boring football to watch. It was just crap. But then what we saw with the drop off from United, and then we were like, shit, this is not good. We were lucky to get away with the draw there. From where we were, we did kind of bottle it. We did bottle it, and then from getting that draw, we just about saved our skin, guys. But we can't have that. We can't have that as a normal game. We need to work out what's going on. Why are we dropping off? Neville says, no, Mbuma, Kuna and Sesko were brought in to work together and bring goals, which is what they're doing, and surprise, the youngest that's new to the league is the one needing more time. Yeah, Sesko, again, coming back to Sesko, he needs more time, guys. He needs more time. There's no argument about it. Neville says 4 points dropped, 100%. Definitely, man. We need to focus on why we're dropping these points. Each player is their own independent entity. They should have to rely on other players to perform. I think, look, there's question marks on performances by these players. I was saying it whilst I was watching the game against Spurs, and I was like, I don't. It might be a controversial comment, but I don't think Bruno Fernandes is good enough right now. I genuinely look at Bruno Fernandes and I think he's simply not offering us enough in that position. Could someone else come in and do a better job? That's what my question mark is. Bruno Fernandes, he's not doing any of those passes. He's not getting many assists. He did get the assist for the goal, the second goal, but yeah, is he doing enough? Is he doing enough? For me, I'm not too sure. Dave says there's some improvement, though if it was last season, we would have lost both the Forest and Spurs game. Yeah, I think that's exactly what that was my silver lining on this game on the weekend and against Forest. I was like, look, we all know if this was last season, we would have given up halfway through. In fact, if this was last season, we wouldn't have even scored early on. That's the problem we had last season. We weren't scoring goals. Last season, we were just kind of plastic team. We were a plastic team, guys. We were like trying to look like we're footballers and we're playing, we're Man United and we're turning up, but we wouldn't score. We wouldn't score any goals. We'd be shit. We were shit. Let's be honest. Hands up. We were awful. No fan could predict what would happen on any given day. You turn up not knowing what United team's going to turn up, how they're going to play, what system they're going to play, and who's going to do what. We were always guessing. Whereas this season, I feel like we can actually expect something from this team. We know what to expect and we know what's going to happen, how we're going to set up and things like that. So it's at least it gives us some sense of security. That's what it is. Jim says, you're right, Bruno isn't good enough. Yeah, I mean, look, he's not good enough right now. He simply isn't good enough. When I'm watching him, I feel like we're carrying him. I feel like we're carrying a few players on the pitch. And I just feel like, yeah, that's not helpful. We can't be doing that. Like we said, there's going to probably be a system change from Ruben Amorim during the time when we're missing Ahmad and Mbeumo. I'd be shocked if he doesn't change the system. Let's be frank. If he does not change the system and formation when these guys are missing, then God help us. I don't know what he's going to do. Neville, zero ball knowledge, mate. We'll be needing a second striker anyway. Yeah, I know what you mean. We definitely need a new striker. Bro, what would you pick for a left wing back? Oh man, left wing back. For me, I suspect when Leach is fit, I said it yesterday, I think Shaw's going to move out to left wing back. I think he's going to be our number one left wing back going forward, if he stays fit, that is, but if he doesn't, then obviously we've got Dogu. Dalot I don't rate, but I think Dogu's going to be playing. Dalot's going to be playing right wing back once we see Ahmad go off to the Ofcon. I think Dalot's going to slot in there, and then yeah, that's how I think he's going to play. But yeah, have you seen the run of games where during Ofcon? What possible points do you think we'd have when Mbeumo and Ahmad departs? I did look. I've been avoiding that topic altogether. I've just not wanting to, because I'm enjoying watching United play. I'm not looking too far ahead. I'm like, look, I don't want to get carried away. I don't want to start looking ahead, because as soon as I start looking ahead, we kind of start messing up what we're doing week in, week out. So I'm just taking one game at a time. Although between you and me, I have looked ahead. I've looked at the last 10, 15 games. I've looked at the Christmas period, and we're going to wait. The worst thing is, during that period, you need your entire squad to be available, and having players go off on international duty during that time is not good news. It's not good news. In my opinion, we should have factored this in. I think there was talk about, when we signed Mbeumo, there was talk about him going off, and United maybe need to factor this in. So yeah, we need to make some changes. We need to make some changes, and we need to make them fast. And the problem is, I don't think we're going to get someone in immediately. We're not going to get someone in the first week of January or the first couple of days, are we? And coming in. So we've got the full, essentially, most of December, or the Christmas period and the holiday period, where we're going to be playing all these matches, and they're crucial games. These are. Because that's the moment that you can actually steal a lead, maybe get a win, unexpected win. There's teams all over the place. That's where you can really go and get a surprise win against maybe a team that you're not expected to win against. But that could backfire as well. What else is there? What else is there? Dave says, yeah. And then Neville, you reckon Shaw has legs for Amorim's system, though? Fair point, though. I look at him. I look at Shaw, and I think he's liked by Amorim for whatever reason. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Luke Shaw, but I think he's been doing a half decent job in the last couple of games. So you got to give him credit where it's due. Although before that, I wouldn't have put him in the team. But Ruben Amorim likes him. Ruben Amorim. First, I thought he's having us on. That he likes Luke Shaw. He called him something like, "Oh, he's the top player, and he's a great player." But then I was like, "Oh, he's pulling our leg here." But clearly, he's been playing him. So I think once Leacher does come back, I still feel like he's going to play Luke Shaw in that team, and I think he's going to put him ahead of Dogu and absolutely ahead of Dalot. So I think Luke Shaw will be in that attacking left wing back position. Has he got the legs? I think he'll do a good enough job. I think he'll do a good enough job in that position. I still think Luke Shaw going forward he offers a bit more. I think his decision making is a bit more screwed on when it comes to going forward and making the right pass or crossing it in. I think Dogu lacks that. I think Dogu's and Dalot's useless. Dalot's just useless, totally useless. But guys, I'm going to call it a day there. I'm going to call it a day. I've gone way over the allocated hour because it's enjoyable to hear from everybody and get to hear what you have to say. But that is the news for today. So if you missed everything, I'll just recap what we were talking about. So first of all, we've got some great news or good news, or it depending on who you are. If you're niche, it's not good news. If you're Neville and others, I think it's good news, which is Sesko is not out for long term. He will be back for United by the end of the international break. Whether he features for us immediately in the game against Everton, I don't think so, but he's back. It's not a serious injury, and fingers crossed he's going to be getting some football in after the international break. So that's good news for us, but it just shows us how weak or how light United squad is at the moment, and how we need to go and bring in maybe a secondary striker, maybe someone like Mateta, maybe someone else. I would take the opportunity in the January transfer window maybe to pull out something out of the bag, maybe go and get another striker, someone that no one's expecting. I'd love that surprise. If we can do that, that'd be brilliant. And also Elliot Anderson. The secondary news we discussed was Elliot Anderson and how Nottingham Forest have said that they want in the region of 100 mil to 120, or if not more, to let go of Elliot Anderson. That is shocking news, but it's the valuation that they've slapped on him. It was never going to be easy for Man United to go and sign these players, whether it's the January transfer window or the summer, unless the player himself puts in a transfer request. But that's not going to happen. He's having the best season of his life, and it probably makes no difference to him to stay on at Nottingham Forest or come to Man United. I think he might even consider waiting to the summer. So that's the Elliot Anderson news, and that's it. Them were the two big news of today. I loved everyone's comment. I mean, it was brilliant listening to everyone and discussion points. It's healthy to discuss your viewpoints. I always enjoy listening to everybody. Thank you for everybody from Neville to Jim to Niche, like always, to Dave as well. Everyone, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, before I finish, actually, I'm thinking of doing a video, or thinking of doing a series of videos where we as fans come together and we discuss our best ever United players in each position. So each show we will and it could get quite heated. I mean, we already had Niche and Neville going at each other for most of the show. So I don't know how these two are going to play out in this this show that I'm thinking of doing. But it's a show where during the international break, which is obviously boring and nothing to look forward to. What I was thinking is that we do a show where we all get together and we put our best three players for each position for United. So, say for instance, one show we do the best ever, or which striker or two would you pick in your best ever United 11. So I've got my best 2 strikers, and I'd want you guys to input your viewpoint on that as well. So you might have somebody else. I don't know how far back to go, because we could either do the Premier League era, or we could just do the all-time Man United great, and we could go all the way back to Dennis Lowe and Bobby Charlton and even George Best, right? We all go back all the way there and really get stuck in. And I'd be interested to find out what our best 11 is. And so over a series of shows, we work out who our best 11 is. And I'm not talking about just simply plucking names out of a hat, right? I'm talking about serious sitting down and looking at stats and discussing why you brought your player to the table and why you feel like Rooney is the best striker ever to play for Man United, and why you've chosen him. And it's not just it doesn't have to be just about stats, because it's also about what he's brought to the table, what he's brought to the United team, and who your best 11 are, who your best goalkeeper is. I always sit down with fans even now and I discuss how, for me, Schmeichel was one hell of a goalkeeper, and then there's others who might disagree and say it's Van der Sar who was better. He was a lot more calmer, more relaxed, but for me, Schmeichel win the treble, things like that. So that's how I would bring the show. But anyway, that's just a thought. I just thought I'd leave you with that. So be ready for that. Just be ready for that. I'll be bringing that series of shows. I think we'll do it over a week, probably starting next week, and we're gonna have a huge debate, and it's going to be crazy, because I can already see that there'll be some different viewpoints on who they feel is the best. Neville say, Sanos, welcome to the show. You didn't miss much. You can rewind and watch it. Neville says all time would be class because adds to the debate. Maybe me and Nish agree with each other. You should do this, Travis, mate. Yeah, I think look, I've been thinking about it for some time. I might even get some guests on, and we can have a proper natter, and we can all get a cup of tea, sit down and have a long show and discuss each position, because I think we don't give it enough time. And not only is it interesting for us, but it's also interesting for the younger generation who might not have seen Cristiano Ronaldo or Rooney. I meet kids now when I speak to kids, and I'm like, oh, who do you support? And they're like, oh, United. And I'm like, oh, who's your favourite player? And they're like, oh, it's this, that. And I'm like, or when I'm playing on EAFC and stuff, and someone asks me like, oh, was Rooney good? He's an icon right now in the game, and they asked me, was Rooney good? And I start laughing out loud, and I'm like, was Rooney good? I mean, this guy was sensational, right? He was a lot better than they portray him in the game. He was so good. And you have to only speak with the players that were playing against him, like Henry and these other top strikers, and they come out saying how good Rooney was. So I think the debate not only would be good for us people who know and we're aware of players, but also those who are watching on, who've not really had the privilege to watch CR7 in his first installment at Old Trafford. But they can learn something about these players, maybe even going back even further and going back and talking about the great team of, having the likes of Yapstam or Ferdinand in the centre-back position, or Vidic. Vidic again and Rio Ferdinand are right now icons in the game. But most young fans now coming along, they don't actually know what Vidic was really like. They see his card and they think, all right, he was good, but they don't actually know what he was like as a player. Anyway, that is something I'm gonna bring to the table. We will have that show probably start next week sometime. But make sure you hit the subscribe so you can take part in that. Make sure you join in as well, and it's going to be fiery. And that's brilliant, because I think even my choices will be controversial. You might not agree with some of the people I'm picking in the team. And Neville, let's finish off what Neville says. The kids today will never understand what prime Rooney was and Ronaldinho was. Ronaldinho called him the best striker he played against. Remember his debut on Ronaldo's Yap stamp immediately came to my mind. Lol. Yeah, I mean, look, there's so many stories. But this is why I'm going to do a segment each day. So I'm not going to do the entire team, because there's too much to discuss in simply each position. So what I'm going to do is each position, each show. So what I'll do is we'll do a show for the strikers, we'll do a show for the midfielders, and we'll do a show for the defence, and we'll include the goalkeeper in there. So at least 4 shows lasting however long, and we will do that discussion. We'll bring our players, have your teams ready, so you can discuss it, put them up in the comments, and then we can go through each of your choices for strikers, and then we can do it that way. I was going to do like a video, but it's going to go on too long, isn't it? It'll go on and on and on, but it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. It's going to be interesting, because not because I want to show you my best 11, but I want to know what all the rest of Man United fans out there are thinking about when it comes to their best 11. Could they come out with their best 11? Will it be a more modern team with CR7, Ronaldo, maybe Vidic, Ferdinand in the centre-back positions, or could you go back even further? You look at Bobby Charlton even, right? Okay, could he fit in that team? Could he fit into the all-time great teams? The debate will go on and on, but it's just a bit of fun. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Again, thank you for everyone joining. You've made it a brilliant show. Thank you for everyone commenting and everything. So take care, and I'll see you tomorrow with another update.